Hello everyone. In this lesson I want to walk through a quick example of how to actually use Composer to pull in a package that we might want or need. Right away, before we get started, I do want to let you know that you do not need to understand Composer like this in order to start using Laravel. Right? Laravel sort of automates all of this for us. However, I want you to genuinely understand what we're doing in this course. And so I'd rather have you spend the extra 10 minutes right now with Composer instead of rushing into Laravel, because I don't want Laravel to feel overly magical or mysterious, right? Because Composer is bigger than just Laravel. Even if you didn't want to use Laravel, you would still use Composer in your other PHP projects. So in this video, let's take just a few minutes to understand the very basics of Composer. So, to have something to sink our teeth into, here's sort of a hypothetical goal for just this video. Let's imagine that we wanted to start with a bit of text like this. Right, so it's a sentence. There are spaces in between it. There's punctuation marks like a comma, exclamation marks at the end. And now imagine we wanted to convert this into sort of a slug, something that would be at the end of a URL, like for a blog post, right? So in other words, all lowercase, we've removed the spaces and replaced them with dashes. We've removed punctuation like the commas and the exclamations, right? This is sort of a URL safe or a slug version of this text. So if we wanted to use PHP to automatically convert something like this into something like this, yes, you and I could write the raw PHP code from scratch. But that would be you and I reinventing the wheel, because someone has already written excellent code that accomplishes this exact same thing. So here's what we're going to do in this lesson. We're going to use Composer to pull in a package that will do exactly this for us. Now don't worry, you don't need to have typed in anything yet. This was just the example text so that you and I are on the same page. So let me close that tab. And here's how we're going to get started. I want you to open up your PHP experiments folder. I want you to open this up in VS Code, right? So that on the left-hand side of VS Code, you have the File Explorer. And so that when you push Control-J or Command-J to open up your terminal is already pointing towards this specific folder. Cool. Now let's go ahead and use Composer to pull in a package that will convert a string of text into a URL safe or a slug version of the text. We would just say Composer and then a space, require and then a space, and then I already know the name of the package I want to use, so it's Concur/Slugify. So if you need to pause the video to type this command in with me, that's okay, but then we're just going to push enter to actually run the command. So Composer is automatically going out onto the internet, it's downloading that package for us, and most importantly, it's placed all of it in this vendor folder. Now, you and I don't ever need to manually go looking through this folder. All we need to know is that the files we want do indeed live in there. Cool. At this point, let's go into our index.php file. Remember this from a few lessons ago? We wrote, a double me function, a triple me function. We practiced outputting little bits of text. If you already deleted this, that's okay. It doesn't matter. Just as long as you're in any sort of PHP file, and up at the top to enter into PHP mode, it's $PHP. But now what I want to do is I want to show you how we can adjust this file so that Composer can automatically give us easy access to our dependencies, right? That Slugify package that we just installed, for example. So up at the top, we would just say require and then a space, __, so two underscores, dir __, a dot, and then quotes, and then we just want to look into this vendor folder, so slash, and that's a / vendor /autoload.php, semicolon. Don't worry, in about 20 seconds from now, I'll explain what this line of code is doing, but I think it'll make more sense after we include our next line of code. So I want you to say use, and then uppercase Concur. That's just the author of the Slugify package. So Concur, and then a backslash, not a /, but a backslash, Slugify, /Slugify, and then be sure to end it with a semicolon. So what in the world are these two lines of code doing? Well, let's actually start with this use line. So if you've ever used Node.js before, for example, this line is similar to when up at the top you would say require and then the name of an npm package, or import and then the name of an npm package. Now, without the help of Composer, PHP on its own will not auto-load separate files and libraries for us like this. In other words, without the help of Composer, this use keyword is just telling PHP that we want to use this namespace. However, with the help of Composer, because we've included this Composer file called autoload, it will automatically load our dependencies for us whenever we say use and then a namespace. So that's what this line of code is doing. It's just importing or loading in a separate file that lives in the vendor folder, and Composer has already set up that code for us. Now, if you wanted to truly understand PHP namespaces and the use keyword, beyond the scope of Composer and this automatic loading, I recommend this amazing article that I have on the screen right now. I can include a link to this in the resources for this video. However, understanding namespaces and auto-loading and the use keyword in actual detail like this is not necessary. I'm not saying it wouldn't be helpful in your PHP journey, but just in order to use Laravel and Composer a bit, you do not need to deeply understand these concepts. So if you wanted to read this article, that would just be 100% extra credit for your own curiosity. Cool, but in terms of this lesson and using Composer, this is all we need. In other words, Composer will see that we're trying to use this namespace, and it will make sure that we have all of the code and files at our fingertips. So it's this easy. Now we can just go ahead and use Slugify. So on a new line, I would say, $Slugify equals a new instance of the uppercase Slugify class. And then on a new line, let's imagine we wanted to echo something out onto the screen. And let's say $Slugify. And then in PHP, to look inside an object, to look for one of its methods, it's dash and then the arrow. So this symbol, that's how you look inside an object. So in JavaScript, this would be similar to, having a dot and then calling a method. So we're looking inside of it. The method we want to call is Slugify. So parentheses to call it, semicolon. And now in these parentheses, we give it an argument. And let's just give it a string of text that says, the sky is blue, comma, and the grass is green, and then, 3 exclamations. So if we save that, and then we can run this file. So in the command line, php, and the space index.php. There we see it, right? All lowercase, dashes instead of spaces. We removed the comma and the exclamations. Perfect. And don't forget, if you wanted to see this in a web browser, you could just say php -uppercase s localhost :8000, and then in your browser, in a new tab, just visit localhost :8000, press enter. Cool. There you have it. So let's recap what we did here. The point is, you and I did not need to reinvent the wheel. We knew that we wanted to convert this text into a URL-safe version of it, but we didn't have to spell out the logic of how to convert that text. We just used a popular package through Composer, right? And Composer did everything for us. It downloaded that external code, and it made that code available to us from within our main script file here. Cool. Now, where do we go from here? Well, we're finally ready to get into Laravel. The idea here is that Composer makes it easy to pull in bits of pre-existing PHP code, and Laravel is one of the most popular pre-existing bits of PHP code in the whole world. So as you might have guessed, in the very next lesson, we're going to use Composer to pull in all of the Laravel files. And Laravel is so incredibly organized and well thought out, and it's already integrated with Composer. In other words, we won't even need to write a line of code like this. Laravel is so perfectly integrated with Composer, you're not going to believe how simple, elegant, and easy it is to get started. The only reason I showed you this example is just so that you could understand that Composer is much bigger than just Laravel, right? And so if you didn't want to make the opinionated decision of using Laravel in the future, I just wanted you to be aware of the tool in your toolbox that is called Composer. In other words, if nothing in this video lesson made sense, Ultimately, that's okay because you don't truly need to understand Composer in order to start building amazing applications with Laravel. And that's exactly what we're going to start doing in the next lesson. So let's keep our momentum rolling, and I will see you then.